What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to I Do It Myself from the hotel room. You know what I'm saying? We out in LA. I'm fresh off the stage from Ken Flognar. Well, not the stage. I'm fresh off the stream. Shouts out to Amazon Music. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's been going on. I've been having a great time. I got a chance to see my man Navy Blue today. Great performance, man. Got a chance to kick it with him and talk some stuff. It's going to be on my vlog. Like I said, I'm in LA, thus explaining the background and the different change of scenery that you don't usually see on I Do It Myself. But we here, you feel me? If you like what it is that I do though, hit them subs, hit them likes, and run up that hype. Today we are talking about this singer David. The police have finally named him as a suspect.
With breaking news in the case of Celeste Rivas, the 15-year-old girl who was found dead inside the front trunk of a Tesla belonging to singer David. According to TMZ, investigators are now looking at the singer, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, as a suspect and have deemed Rivas's death a homicide. Rivas was reported missing from Lake Elsinore back in April of 2024. Her body was then found inside the Tesla in September of this year while the car was parked in a Hollywood tow yard. It's believed her body was inside the vehicle for several weeks. The LAPD has not confirmed any new details to KTLA, and the LA County Medical Examiner's Office has not yet determined an official cause or manner of death. Toxicology results are still pending.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, yo, this is one of the most horrible stories that I've ever seen. You feel me? Like, this is really bad. This is really disgusting. David, who is an artist, you know what I mean, from Houston, he made his way by making these songs about being deeply in love and, you know, wanting to, you know, harm or, you know, take the person's life, like horrorcore on another level. He made shirts with, you know what I mean, with blood stained hands on them and all that. And I seen y'all bring up all these other things about how other artists have done that, but this is a different story. This is a totally different story. Now, this situation with David is taking a turn. And like I said, they finally put him as a suspect, which, I mean, listen, I'm no detective. Most of us aren't detectives or work in law enforcement, but anybody could have seen this shit coming. Like, come on, bro. The young lady's body was found. You know what I'm saying? Young lady, not even young lady, excuse me, child. She's not a young lady. She's 15 years old. The child's body was found inside the frunk of this man's car. Now, the craziest thing about that is not only David a suspect in the murder, you know what I'm saying, and dismemberment of this young lady's body, but he's also a PDF, a pedo. You feel me? He's 21 or started talking to this girl when he was 17 and she was 12. So he's been a predator in the situation. And let's keep it 1,000. You know, let's say by chance, by a very slim, like my mom used to say, by the skin of teeth, that he wasn't the person who committed this act or this crime against her. He still was messing with an underage girl. Ridiculous, right? But now, like I said, there's all these new developments because they've been, you know, able to determine that her body was frozen. Now, I want to watch, you know, this clip from Harvey from TMZ, and he breaks down and says, you know, the new developments and what's going on. And I ain't gonna front, a lot of this shit is shocking. I just want to tell y'all this, and I said this before when I first covered this. Yo, if you got kids, especially teenagers, please mind what they do. Please talk to your kids. Please communicate with your kids. I know we got all these barriers and we try to, you know, let them handle stuff on their phones and all of that. And we try to talk to them on their phones. No, get back to what it was when we was kids, when we was growing up, when our parents was in our fucking business, when they was all up in everything we had going on, whether we liked it or not. Doesn't mean that all of us turned out right, but you better off doing that than doing nothing. Let's watch this clip from Harvey though.
Major developments in the Celeste Rivas death. TMZ has learned that her body had been frozen, and when it was found, it was still partially frozen in the back of David's car, and it was in such bad condition that we are told the medical examiner may never be able to establish the cause of death. So here's what we know. When the body was found, it was in terrible condition. It had been decapitated. The torso was intact. The limbs had been removed and they were cut up severely. The body was partially frozen in the trunk. And this is really important because remember, the body had been sitting there for days before it was finally impounded and then the body discovered. And it was still, the body parts were still partially frozen. So we are told that when the body first went to the medical examiner's office in early September, it was listed as an apparent homicide, but that was just from what seemed obvious, that the body was cut up into pieces. The medical examiner is having a really tough time right now trying to figure out what the cause of death was. We are told it is likely the cause of death will go undetermined because of the condition of the body and the fact that it was frozen and the fact that it was cut up the way it was. So we have told you that we know David is a suspect, and even if it is undetermined, the LAPD can still move forward, as could the LA County District Attorney. The LAPD is viewing this as a homicide. David is a suspect. We know this. And one of the keys to the case is a trip that David made in the middle of the night back in this spring to a remote area of Santa Barbara County. We are now also told that there is a second suspect, and our information is that the second suspect has something to do with the cutting up of the body. Now, Mark Garagos, who is my co-host on the Two Angry Men podcast, told us in the most recent podcast that his information is that this second suspect is being looked at not just for dismembering the body, but also for what happened before, during, and after Celeste's death. So there is a second suspect that the LAPD has its sights on. They have identified the person. Garriga says he knows who it is, not saying, but it is a second suspect implicated here. So obviously the question, how on earth did this body get here? So obviously the question, how on earth did this body go from Santa Barbara, if that's indeed where it was taken? And that seems to be the operating theory of the LAPD, that if it was taken to Santa Barbara, how did it end up back in Los Angeles in the trunk of David's car in a residential neighborhood? The only thing that makes sense, and that's months and months later, the only thing that makes sense is that based on connecting the dots, it would seem that this body was put in a freezer for an extended period of time, and it was so frozen that by the time it got in the car, it took a long, long time for it to unfreeze, and it had not fully unfrozen at the time the body was discovered at the impound lot. So again, it looks like there may never be a cause of death determined by the medical examiner. The body was frozen. Just keep looking at TMZ. We will have more updates as the days pass.
Now, if you've watched, murder mystery stuff like me, then you will know that David or whomever that, committed this atrocious act against this, little girl, that this comes out of a certain page in a certain book. Now, I don't know if y'all familiar with Richard, the Iceman Kuklinski, right? In no relation to who, but he had a method of doing stuff like this. And the reason why he would, he was a hitman. The reason why he would take and literally put people's bodies in freezers and throw them out in the summer was that the autopsies or whomever was doing them couldn't determine the cause of death or when it happened. Now, this case is really nasty, but y'all know that we have to pay bills over here, right? Y'all know that. So let's pay some bills, and then we're gonna come back and talk about this. Yo, this video is brought to you by Jordan Craig Denim. Jordan Craig Denim is a brand, a family-owned brand, working in streetwear business over 30 years by the way of Queens, New York. On top of that, they got everything from premium denim. They got good sweatsuits, good jackets, all types of garments and all types of accessories for any and everything you need. A lot of people have wanted. Everybody from Allen Iverson, the Moneybag Yo, Shiloh Sanders, Paul Pierce, Vin Diesel. They got something for everybody. You know it's full time. You gotta get right. Go get you one of these sweatsuits. This sweatsuit I got on in particular is extremely comfortable. I can move around in it. It's comfy. I feel like I could wear this to go outside. I could wear this to the gym. I could wear this to go get my groceries, pick up my kids from school, whatever it is I need to be doing. Good airport fit. Jordan Craig got it. So if you like this sweatsuit or any of the stuff that you've seen, make sure that you hit jordancraig.com and use my code. Like I said, you support me, you support this channel, support Jordan Craig. Now, like I was saying about Richard Kuklinski, right? Like it's been documented that, he had did these types of things when it came to doing hits. Now, one thing about David, it was said that he had some sort of like, obsession with all of these types of things. And this shit is crazy, man. Like I ain't gonna lie. In 2025, I can't even believe that the stuff that's happening happens on a daily basis and people just skip over it and act like it's normal. Like this is not normal. First and foremost, there has been a rising in, serial killings in America, most recently in Texas, where it was black women who have been getting found missing, you know what I mean? And their deaths has been happening. But guess what? It's not a sexy topic, so people don't talk about it much. But this situation in particular, it just bugs me out that like people are just so lackadaisical about it, right? Like this dude made all these songs where he alludes to or talks about death and talks about harming a loved one and all of that. And then he goes on tour and a body is found in his trunk. And this is not something that's covered every single day. Now, the thing about Celeste is, a lot of people try to blame the fact that she was a consistent runaway as to, why, things like this happen. And I think that's extremely unfair, especially to her parents and her family, because, they did put it out there. Now, they did know that she must have had some sort of troubles at home and she would, leave and pop back up, leave and pop back up. But what's crazy is, she was dating a older man, you know what I mean? And again, we just living in a time when nobody saw no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? This dude was on the border of being a superstar, and here he is on the road, and a body gets found in his trunk, and nobody's like he's the suspect. It takes 2.5 months for the police to say, okay, maybe we've got enough evidence. Now, what the hell is y'all doing? What are y'all looking at? What lens are y'all looking at to even, you know, now determine this? But the thing about it is, not just was her body frozen and dismemberment, she was decapitated. Her arms was missing. You know what I mean? Her limbs was missing, and nose was cut too. And now we're hearing about a second suspect. What type of weirdo shit these dudes got going on? Like I said, man, you got kids, you know what I'm saying, young kids, teenagers, all of that. Stay on your kids' body, man. Stay in they, be nosy. Be annoying, be nosy, be persistent. I don't care how much problems they give you. Show this to your kids. And I'm not talking specifically about this episode, but show this story to your kids because there's so many people that just wish they could meet their favorite artist. And guess what? We ain't in them days where it's a slim chance of happening. It can. You feel me? It's too many avenues and too many ways for people to contact people. You got social media, you got Discord where Celeste and him met, you got all gaming. It's all types of things that's, detrimental and scary to our children, man. And I'm gonna keep it 100, man. We gotta protect these children, not just our own, especially our own, but these kids out here, man. There's so many young and impressionable young ladies and boys that get taken advantage of on a daily. You know what I mean? Because they looking for love or they looking for the right person to come along and maybe give them an opportunity, or they just want to be in a room and be lit or whatever's going on. And it's bad. It's really bad out here. Now, there's still time that has to take place, and this is yet to be determined and finished. But we gonna cover it, man, for real, because I feel like we gotta see how this pans out and see the conclusion. But as of right now, this David nigga looking funny in the light and everybody should be, you know what I mean? Everybody should be sharing these types of stories about the dangers. You know what I mean? The dangers, the clear and present dangers that your kids is facing just by opening up their phone. We always want to talk about how much access they got, but that access could be the last thing they do. This is I do it myself. As y'all can hear, I'm a little bit hoarse, but that's because I've been working all day and I came back to my room and I'm still working. You want to know why? Because I care about this grind and I'm dedicated and I'm gonna make sure that I provide that content for y'all. This is I do it myself. For the ones that rock with me, know how we doing. For the ones that don't, eventually you will. I catch you on the next one though. Peace. If you want to be the best rapper, you gotta have the best bars. Just like Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They gotten over $25 billion with more than 500,000 clients. And the results speak for themselves. A client in Pennsylvania got $29 million after being offered only $500,000. Another client in Florida got $20 million after being offered zero. Morgan & Morgan been fighting for the people for over 35 years. It's like hiring a legal army that's always going to ride for you. If you get injured by somebody else's negligence, then you deserve to be paid. Not all law firms is created equal. Hiring the wrong one could cost you. If you get injured, you could check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win.